Welcome to Laying Fallow. I'm Donna Von Bruning. Today I speak with Tirzah Daniels. Tirzah was a band major at Savannah Arts Academy. In the fall of 2020, she started at Savannah State University, but today you'll find her as a cadet at West Point. If she has her way, she will have a career as a Navy Jag. Do you remember your quote?
I don't remember.
That's okay. So I'm gonna read your quote.
Okay.
My high school journey at SAA was a 4-year roller coaster, but I never imagined the ride would end so abruptly. All the events I was really looking forward to vanished. Mock trial, going to state, soccer, my senior piano recital. There are some aspects of SAA I will miss dearly, like the staff members that looked out for me and my friends, but it is time to leave high school in the past. I plan to become a Navy Jag, but the thing is, the immediate road ahead looks a lot like that roller coaster I mentioned. I have been admitted to great schools around the country, but making a decision has proven difficult, given that no one knows what the fall looks like. Do you stay home and wait it out, or do you go only to be sent home because of a pandemic halfway through a semester that you paid for?
Wow.
So, before I ask you questions, tell me what you did.
What I did after
Yeah.
that.
You got into a bunch of schools, and what'd you decide?
So I ultimately decided to stay home for a year. I went to Savannah State, did NROTC, loved it. My parents wanted me to get the full college experience, so I did stay on campus. But it was nice, being home, and I could just come home for Sunday dinner.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
That's home for some of mom's cooking.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And then I reapplied to the Naval Academy and I got in. And
Congrats.
yeah, and then thank you. And then in June of 2021, I started my Naval Academy journey.
All right. Is the goal still to be a Navy Jag?
Yes. The long-term goal is to still be a Navy Jag. I know that the pathway is a little farther off. It can be very challenging to be a JAG, the route I'm taking, but that's still the goal.
That's exciting. So my first question for you is, tell me what you learned about decision making, because you got a lot of decisions to make.
Yeah.
With not a lot of information.
Yeah.
Trust yourself?
I think, yes, trusting yourself, but also it's an opportunity call. Like, you have to weigh things out and see see a little bit more into the future of what this decision could lead to. So for me, I weighed the decision of staying at Savannah State versus starting over and going to the Naval Academy. But the opportunities that I've had at the academy, to me, it made me feel like that decision would be better for me. So I think in the realm of decision making, I learned to trust the process, but also have a little faith in my ability to do things and my ability to succeed as well, but also reaching out for help when I need it, when I don't know what the right decision is to make, leaning on other people to help me find the right decision. I think that's what I learned.
Who did you find were the best people to lean on?
In making my decision to go to the academy, definitely my parents. My mom said to me when I didn't make it into the academy the first time, I don't think you're quite done just yet. I don't think this is the end of your journey with the Naval Academy. And I kept that in the back of my head and, kept that thought there, like, I can do this, I can try again. And that's what led me to continue pursuing that dream, even though I thought, well, I can't, put all my eggs in one basket because then I'll be disappointed again if it doesn't turn out the way I want. So yeah, I think my parents definitely helped me the most in that decision.
Has the journey of the past 4 years been what you thought it would be or not at all?
I think it's been a bit of both. Certain things I did expect, like the one reason I wanted to go to the academy was just the structure that it provided me. just being very organizational and getting more focused, I think has provided me with that. But I think some of the experiences that I wasn't expecting were the people that I would meet along the way, like since being at the academy and even plebe summer. It's essentially our indoctrination into the Navy for Naval Academy students. And I was not completely prepared for that. I thought I was prepared, but then I got there and I was like, okay, I probably should have prepared a little bit more. But like, I look back at these experiences and I wouldn't change anything about them. Like, there's not something that I look back and I say, oh man, I wish I could go back and completely change this, because I'm glad to be where I am now and the things that have come out of those experiences the past 4 years.
Fantastic. So with COVID, do you think, like, looking at, I don't know how in touch you've stayed with people or not, it doesn't matter, but thinking about personal relationships and your peers and how it was affected by COVID, do you feel like people held on too long to relationships or friendships that maybe if things had naturally launched for you guys, they might have let go sooner? Or do you think it happened how it happened and all is well? Like, what's your opinion on it?
Do you mean like friendships or like
either friendships, relationships? I don't know who's in your circle. So,
and by held on too long, you mean like we probably would have drifted apart sooner had we graduated and gone through everything?
Correct. Yeah.
I wouldn't say so. I think that those of us who have stayed in contact, I think we needed that. And I think we needed to lean on each other because we were the only ones who kind of understood the exact experience that we are going through and some of the feelings that we might have been feeling. Everybody felt something, but then you have like groups of, oh, this was our experience. This was the class of 2020's experience. This was the class of 24's experience. I think it happened just the way it should have. And I think where we are now, like those of us who keep in contact and when we can keep in contact, I think that I'm glad that we're still able to, even after having such an abrupt end.
Do you think that the people that you did stay in contact with, you would have stayed in contact with no matter what? Or do you think having that abrupt ending, that shared experience, kind of bonded you a little bit more?
I think I would have stayed in contact no matter what. I'm very much a people person, and I love like just reaching out and checking in. Sometimes I'm a bit sporadic with my check-ins, but I do like continuing the conversation and just like keeping in contact with everyone. So I think I would have remained in contact.
Gotcha. Tell me, what has been the biggest loss for you in the past 4 years?
The biggest loss?
Yep. And it could be anything. People have said all kinds of things. From the obvious, some people lost people to, personal things that they lost in their personality or let go of.
Yeah, that is kind of hard because there's like a good loss and a bad loss.
Right.
That I'm kind of feeling of. So I would say the bad loss, would be I did lose family members, and not specifically due to COVID, just life and sort of having to deal with that, being so far away from home, being in Maryland when things are happening back here in Georgia or Florida. I think that was very difficult. But I'd say the good loss that I have experienced in the past 4 years is a loss of imposter syndrome. It comes in waves and you feel it with different things. But I think that my freshman year at the academy, I had a serious bout with imposter syndrome. Like, I just had a complete lack of confidence in my ability. I questioned how I got in. I thought it was a fluke for a long time. I even told one of my mentors that. I was like, I think they clicked the wrong name.
This is a paperwork mistake.
Yeah, I think it was a paperwork mistake, and he was like, "That's not how it works." So, as someone on the admissions board, I just want to let you know that's not how we do things. And I think, yeah, that I've kind of moved away from just feeling that imposter syndrome. Like I feel like I belong, and there's a place for me, and like I have more trust in my ability that I was given to do the things that I'm doing now. So
That's a great loss. You're right. That's a great.
yeah, man.
I mean, imposter syndrome is huge. And the fact, A, that you understand what it is at such a young age, and B, figured out a way to tackle it head on. So
Yeah.
that's a big deal. So when I went and tried to do a little research on you guys, there's tons of research about how COVID affected the young kids. They're behind, they can't read. The kindergartners can't pick up social cues because of masks, all that stuff. And then there was research about the class of 2020 college because they graduated into a recession. They couldn't find jobs. If they did find jobs, nobody was going to work, the whole thing. There was nothing about you guys. And the thing that's so interesting to me and why I feel so connected to you, even though, yes, I had a kid in your grade, is that, yeah, you lost graduation and the ending. And I think as a parent of a kid in 2020, I think maybe it was a little harder for us than you because it's such a milestone. But what I think was a huge loss for you all was that launch year. The year when you're like launching into adulthood, whether you're going to college or you're staying home or, traveling or whatever you're deciding to do, and you just had to sit in it. Like there was nowhere to go and you couldn't grow up even if you wanted to, or you had a plan or whatever. And the one thing I did come across is that the academics labeled this period for you guys, and not just your class, but like everyone, as a trauma. And I'm curious if you think trauma is a good way to describe it or a little strong, or for some people it was a trauma. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts on that.
I think I would say to those who feel it is a trauma, I would never invalidate their feelings because it was very hard, I think it was mentally taxing, also physically taxing, but very mentally taxing on a lot of people. And I think I'm lucky because I still have a lot of my family here. I didn't lose as much during COVID. So I still, my parents are safe, my sister's safe, the babies that we had in our family at the time, like they're safe and they're doing good. So I think for me, I had good circumstances, but that wasn't the case for everybody. So I think labeling it as a trauma, some people are correct, are valid in that labeling because it might have been a traumatic experience for them. And it wasn't necessarily COVID, but there were other experiences in 2020 that for me, I would consider more traumatic for me mentally than COVID itself. And I think that's why the year as a whole, people consider like a trauma.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because one of the questions I have is that these past 4 years have thrust your class into social issues like never before. I mean, hot on the heels of COVID, that summer was Black Lives Matter. And then we moved into the Me Too movement, and then the loss of Roe versus Wade, and now the war on Hamas and anti-Semitism. I mean, the hits just keep coming. And so one of the questions I've asked is, because of that, has all of this information made you more empathetic, or has it desensitized you to these sorts of things overall?
I think it has made me more empathetic. I thought there was a period where I was getting desensitized to it, but then I realized that I was just choosing not to look at certain things because I knew that it was going to be too much for me to take in. So it wasn't that I was getting desensitized, it was just that I was blocking it out for a moment until I could take time to process certain things. And I think it made me, even being at the Naval Academy, I think you would assume that being in the military would make you more desensitized to certain things, but I think it made me more empathetic because I was learning another perspective of just global issues, especially national issues as well. But I was learning it from perspectives of my peers who come from all over the country and a lot of international students. I was learning from people who have lived overseas and lived in these areas that we're, where we're talking about all of these issues, like with Hamas and everything now. And so I think it made me more empathetic to just listening first instead of assuming first, and also choosing to have a conversation versus going straight to attacking first. So I think it's made me more empathetic.
That's great. How do you find out the information that you're looking for now, especially with social media?
Oh, okay. So I am still very present-ish on social media. I don't post as much, which my friends tell me I should, to just let people know, like, hey, what have I been up to? But I think I take most of my news by just looking it up on more credible sites. So within the Navy, there's different, like USNI News, there's different news outlets that you can look at where you can get up-to-date information. And so I've looked at a lot of that. That's what they send us in our emails and stuff through school. But I also just keep up with the world news. And yes, I do look at social media for things, but I don't rely on that as my only source. Like if I see something like, oh, that's interesting, let me dig deeper into that. Let me see other perspectives, because I don't want to just take social media at face value, because people can say whatever they want on social media. You don't know what the truth is. So it's like, I appreciate the tidbit. Now I'm going to go and research it for myself just to see and, get an understanding.
Let's talk a little bit about social media. First of all, you would be shocked at how many of your peers completely rely on TikTok. And I am just a little bit floored sometimes, because some of these people are college educated, and I'm like, you do know.
I refuse to get TikTok.
Yeah. It's about half and half of you guys.
Yeah,
like, half of you are like, that is where I draw the line. I am not getting on TikTok.
Yeah. For me, I didn't get it in 2020. I was like, no, I already have Instagram. I have YouTube. And then people were like, yeah, but this is what you can do on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, but there's YouTube shorts and there's Instagram reels. And so what's the point? And yeah, TikTok is just a slippery slope. And I was like, I don't need that. I'm trying to, get away from that and get organized and structured. I can't.
So you said
no
something
TikTok
really
for me.
Yeah, I was just surprised. Like the general scope of it in, interviewing these few dozen people or so now is that people are feeling too old for Snapchat, even though that's how you guys came into social media. And Instagram is still sort of a thing. And then people are, TikTok is their hill to die on. They are not doing it, or they're doing it and they're doom scrolling and hating themselves for it. A lot of them are like, God, I just spend so much time in it and I don't know how to stop, and that sort of thing. Yeah, I do find it interesting. You made a comment about like your friends saying, oh, that you should post on Instagram more so people know what you're up to. And, just the difference in like my generation and your generation. My first thought was, it's nobody's business what you're up to. Like, you don't owe those people anything. Like your friends, you can text, they know, you know what I mean? And like people feel like they have such a right now. I feel like, do you feel that?
I do. And I think two things that I saw it with, and this is like not even like, average people level. Right. This is like celebrities. Cameron Boyce and Chadwick Boseman, losing both of them, like the response of people afterwards to their co-stars, their friends, was, oh, why haven't you posted about them yet? Why haven't you given your, like, I'm sorry, we miss you, we love you? And I'm just like, do you understand that these people knew them personally and they are grieving? Like, I don't understand why someone grieving, the first response has to be, let me post about my grief. That really got to me, because I was like, these people are really hurt right now. And your first response was, what took you so long to come on social media and say something about it? Or, what took you so long to post this promotion or what have you, And so I think that's part of why I haven't felt like, even though I say it, I haven't felt a rush to post. I think for me, it's more of I just say that I'm going to, and then I forget. And then I'm like, oh, well, has that time passed? And one of my friends was like, it really doesn't matter. It's social media. Like it. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, I am going to just to let my friends know, hey, like these things are out here and these are like travel opportunities or different things like that. But I don't feel compelled to have to share my whole life on social media as a lot of people nowadays feel
Mhm.
like it's a requirement too.
That's so crazy to me. So crazy. Do you feel like, so when you got, I don't know when you got your first phone, probably middle
Mhm.
school somewhere, it seems like, but do you feel like, and I mean, you mentioned like you have younger people in your family that your age, so you guys are like, 23, 22, 21.
Yeah.
When you started social media, like TikTok didn't exist, Snapchat and Instagram were like baby things. So like the algorithm wasn't there. There was no such thing
It
as
was.
doom scrolling. And so while they were in your life, they didn't command your attention, I feel like, as opposed to like the younger kids. And I feel like even though you're Gen Z, you're like the elder Gen Z and you're just this little group. And the others, you're like, what the hell is going on with you people? Because they
Yeah.
got sucked right into that doom scroll and it's over. I mean, do you notice that or no?
Yes, I do notice that. I think I comment on it more often than not. I've been told that I have an old soul sometimes with certain
No,
things.
I just think you
But
guys you're the first digital natives, but you
yeah,
didn't have that experience. You also had a life outside of it.
yes, we did. And I tell people that because I think sometimes they hear Gen Z and they just assume like technology only. And so there's certain experiences that they think we didn't have, like even elementary school and stuff. And I'm like, no, like we know what reading rainbow is. Like that's how we were taught. And we know about like going outside to the
It was
playground and making up your own like
game, yeah.
world, and that's how you reenacted books. You did it outside, not watching a screen or different things. Instead of watching a kid play on TV, you actually went outside and did it yourself.
Right. Hung out with friends and yeah.
Yeah, so I think there is a difference in older Gen Z versus younger Gen Z, and I say that for kids born around like 2007-ish, like I think that's when the first iPhone or first like actual like smartphones
Mhm.
really came out. So by the time you were 5, it was more normal for people to have a smartphone. And so that's what you started growing up with. So there is a difference. And I think there is some disconnect there because most of them look now to social media for social cues instead of just, you know, everyday like interactions. And I
Mhm.
think, yeah, there is a difference there. Like we had more of those, like we had more opportunity for that than our younger Gen Z or Gen Alpha
Whatever they are.
kids,
Yeah.
whatever they are.
Whatever they
Whatever
are. Do you think the loss of the milestone moments, such as, graduation, like were you on the soccer team, like losing your
Yes.
soccer season and, prom or film fest, any of that stuff you guys had going? And then
Mhm.
losing your true launch as like a college freshman or whatever you were going to do. Did those losses make you crave tradition more? I say to the girl in the Navy, or or are you a little bit more flexible about tradition?
I think it means more to me. My sister graduated high school this year, and I was determined to make sure she had, like, even though I wasn't here, I was like, she's gonna have the best graduation. I'm gonna make sure. they let me come home and,
Oh,
see her walk across that stage and everything. And my parents made sure that, she did it big and went to grad bash and went to prom and just enjoyed her
mhm.
experience. So I think I definitely care about it more. And I'm class of 25. So coming into my senior year at the academy, I am definitely preparing for my graduation. Like I've already given thought to like where I'll do my senior pictures
Uh,
and when I'll send out save the date cards because I feel like graduations are a full family thing. So my family didn't really get to do that much with me.
mhm.
Like we had like a drive through graduation party. So
Right.
everybody just came by the house and, waved and dropped off gifts. So I think I definitely care
Mhm.
more about like graduation and, culminating events.
Can you have a lot of people at your graduation?
So we do it at our football stadium. So as far as I know, we can have a lot. From what I've seen since being there, it's been a lot of people. So I plan on inviting as much of my family as they will allow me.
There is a phenomenon called the quarter century crisis. So it's like a midlife crisis for 25-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
It's coming. You kind of get to 25 and it's like a period of disillusionment, uncertainty. You're not where you thought you would be. You thought you would achieve certain things, or you look back and you're like, well, I checked all the boxes. Why isn't everything perfect? Do you think that your class, this class of 2020, would be more apt to experience such a thing or less apt because you already had such a, everything wiped out from you?
I think quarter century crisis. That's a cool name, by the way. Crafty name there. I think we'll be less prone to feel that. I think just because we've had a little bit more time to try and figure things out when, the rug is swept out from under us. So I think, when the hits start coming with whatever happens, we have a little bit to help us like prepare for that, like a little bit of past experience to sort of fall back on and like just like, recognizing imposter syndrome or just the lack of confidence. Like I think once you experience something once, you can kind of recognize some of the signs when it starts happening again and sort of have an idea of where can I start out in tackling this problem. So I think we'll be less prone to it. I hope we will be less prone. I don't want my classmates going through a course crisis.
What do you think people misunderstand about 22-year-olds today?
That we don't have the ability to see things from other people's perspective.
Ah.
I think a lot of people assume that we are very self-involved and that we don't look to other people's experiences. We don't try and like learn from our elders and that sort of thing, or even learn from like younger generations. But I think people underestimate just how observant and understanding we can be. Yeah.
I love it. That's fantastic. Is there anything you might have wanted to talk about or share that I did not ask you about?
I'm just looking forward to a great senior year at the academy, a great graduation, and then launching into my career as a Navy officer.
So last question, then we're talking about the launch. What are you going to do with your one big life? So when you are older and you look back, what do you want to say?
Oh, wow. Okay. When I look back, I want to be able to say that I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of great people, and I feel like my life has been fulfilled.
That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thanks for listening to Laying Fallow. Be sure to listen to the rest of the episodes, and to learn more and see the portraits from both 2020 and 2024, head over to my website, www.donnavonbruning.com, or to my Instagram, @DonnaVonBruning.